What's up, guys? 1-0 yesterday with the Indiana Pacers covering the spread, although blowing a pretty decent sized lead in the game and losing outright. Continue to tread water, really, though. Just sitting it slightly in the black right now on the season, on the year, but hopefully we can keep turning this around. NHL today we got Rangers, Florida, flipping back to Florida with a 1-1 tied series. Florida sitting around somewhere in the vicinity of minus 165, somewhere around there. Looks like Florida, I think, does have a cash discrepancy on their side as well. More cash than the tickets, but it's a little bit of a price to lay. I do think Florida probably should win this game. It's kind of like the zigzag spot, again, where it's the spot for Florida to adjust and bounce back after the loss. I think Florida is the better team, as the odds makers are telling you, but I think the public is really less onto that because the Rangers have the best record in the NHL, so they tend to side with the Rangers a little bit more than they probably should. Not going to play that one. I will play the NBA game, which, based on the market, seems dangerous. This is Dallas at Dallas hosting Minnesota, with Dallas now up 2-0, winning both games in Minnesota, winning game 2 on a buzzer beater by Luka. It's just a crazy way to win the game. Dallas is going to be a little bit of a letdown after that. Maybe, even though you don't really have letdowns in the playoffs, but it's like you exert a lot of energy in that game. But also, is Minnesota going to be crushed after losing that game the way that they did, because they basically had the game? I don't know. But it's the spot when you have a team that falls down 2-0 at home and then goes on the road. This is like their last gasp, basically, in getting points with the team that is the better defense. Both teams good defenses. Potentially it would be a defensive battle. I think you got to take the points there, even though it looks like, and that would be at 2.5 is the line right now, with Dallas being a 2.5 point favorite. Odds makers lining Minnesota as being the slightly better team, which I think is accurate. Minnesota is going to have the adjustments to make, and this is like desperation mode for them. They can't fall down 3-0, getting points. That's going to be the play there. But a little bit worried, like I said, because you do have Minnesota actually being public with 70-something% of the tickets and only 60-something% of the cash. So that worries me a little bit, but it is the spot play there to take Minnesota plus 2.5 in NBA. Then Major League Baseball, we got two teams that are trying to avoid sweeps here, which I think are in good situations, and you got like a starting pitching mismatch. Although I haven't really dived into the bullpen scenario. Maybe I should, but I'm just like, whatever, I'm doing this. With the market percentages I don't see on the first one, and on the second one they are in agreement with me. The first one is going to be to lay minus 1.5 runs, the run line with Seattle, even though they are on the road. The Seattle Mariners, they're trying to avoid a sweep right now against a Washington Nationals team, who I don't think is really that good. Washington does have a series against the Braves up starting tomorrow, so it is possible Washington kind of overlooks this game, and Seattle should be prepared and want this game and make some adjustments and whatever, because they're on the verge of getting swept by an inferior team here, and the odds makers are telling you Seattle's the better team, and they have the better of the pitching matchup here. That is factored into the line, yeah, but I think could be a potential look ahead for Washington with the huge Braves divisional series up next, and they could maybe just like overlook Seattle a little bit after beating them twice already. I think it's a 3-game series. I'd have to look at that too. But the pitching matchup is Brian Wu, who has a ridiculously good ERA and WHIP so far this season, like both of them below 1. Obviously that's completely unsustainable, but he is a good pitcher. He's a young pitcher. Washington's hitters have barely seen him before. I think they do have some history against him, but he's pitched well against them. He's definitely the better of the two pitchers. Patrick Corbin is pitching for Washington. He is a complete train wreck. Like, this guy, it seems like he should be retiring at this point because he just can't put together good stats, man. He's got an ERA like north of 6, like a 1.7 WHIP. It's just bad. And his stats versus Seattle's hitters in his career are also not good. So it is an absolute mismatch in that one. And Seattle, probably the more motivated team trying to avoid the sweep. with Washington with the potential look ahead. So Seattle Mariners -1.5, and then the other game will be the Chicago White Sox. Yeah, you know I'm doing it. I'm going to Garrett Crochet again. I'm taking +140 on the money line as a home underdog here against Baltimore. Baltimore's on the verge of a 4-game sweep of the hapless White Sox, although, again, that's a situation where maybe Baltimore will overlook them a little bit. Baltimore has a divisional series up next against the Red Sox. They did well the last time they faced the Red Sox, but that's still a big series against the Red Sox. Even if the Red Sox are a little bit mediocre, it's still a big divisional series. So Baltimore could overlook this last game, man. Playing a bad team like the White Sox, having beaten them 3 times already, kind of a potentially spot where Baltimore won't be totally focused. Whereas Chicago probably will be at least trying to avoid the sweep here. And just hopefully Chicago can get enough runs together here, because I do think they have the better of these 2 pitchers, even though for Baltimore, Kyle Bradish, however you pronounce it, he's been pitching pretty well so far this season, although his whip is above 1.2, so his whip does indicate that his ERA should probably be a little bit higher than it is, in like the 2 whatever range is where it is. He put together a good season last year. He's pitching well again this season. He does have pretty good numbers against these White Sox hitters, too, who aren't very good. So that does worry me a little bit. But I do think he is the worst of these 2 pitchers. He's up against Garrett Crochet, my favorite pitcher on the White Sox staff. He is a young gun who's really been pitching well this year. Really good strikeout numbers, strikeout walk numbers, just consistently throughout this season. And Baltimore has seen him before. I think only 4 of their hitters have seen him before, and they're 0 for 4 off in lifetime or something. So not much you could take away from that. I think that was all in his relief appearances, so they haven't seen him this year since he's become a starter and really been like slinging gas. So those are the plays today. NBA, Minnesota Timberwolves +2.5 to try to stay alive, man. Chicago White Sox in baseball +140, and Seattle Mariners in baseball -1.5 on the run line, which you can get at like even money right now, +100. Let's do it. Peace.